Hello again, everyone. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gut Wrench podcast. Thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you all so much for being here. Let me try to find where my notes are. Found them. And there's a pin to mark exactly where it was that I left off whenever I was taking these notes. Also, I have to do this at the beginning because I feel like a lot of people are turning off the podcast before I have a chance to say it at the end. Like I do my YouTube videos, like whenever I'm watching a YouTube video and the person at the end of the video is kind of like, okay guys, thank you so much for watching. And then they're like, now I do have donation links in the whatever below, pinned comment, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do this at the beginning so that, if you, you're not going to turn off the podcast at the beginning. You might skip, but if you do that, you might miss something. What? Okay, so now that you've been caught up to the surprise what that I just did, donation links will be probably not in this one episode, but they will be in previous episodes. So if you do have a Cash App, if you do have a something to donate with, and if you have some maybe 50 cents laying around or something, it does some good to donate to the cause, Anyway, enough of me begging for money. I really don't want your money anyway. Yeah, honestly. I'd rather make it on my own and then be like, none of you helped me whenever I needed it. Yeah. So why should I help you? No, I'm joking. It's a terrible joke to make. Okay, running gag, referees not counting, countouts or disqualifications. Literally all except for the last 3, maybe the last 2 matches where disqualification is supposed to actually be like turned on, and disqualification is actually supposed to be like something that they follow. Literally, they can get away with everything, Referees don't know how to count to 10 apparently. And also, whenever they get knocked down, they're made out of glass. Double or Nothing 2022. Now, you want to talk about a rivalry that's been personal since November of 2019. Since November of 2019, this rivalry has been personal. Well, actually, that's whenever their relationship started. MJF hired Wardlow as a bodyguard of some sort. And whenever he did, he practically every chance that he got, he would demean this man. And he would look at him, and then he would tell him what a stupid piece of shit that he is, and how he's worthless, and he's nothing, and he comes from nothing. And then he would look at the camera and say something along the lines of, hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Jacob Friedman. And then he would always let you know who he is, why he's important, what makes him so much better than you, because that was his catchphrase, and I am better than you. But MJF became such a pompous ass that I know that we've reviewed it already, but that dog collar match wherever MJF was just looking for that diamond studded ring so that he could hit CM Punk with it, and then Punk took the ring from Wardlow whenever, like, that was Revolution if I remember correctly. And what ended up happening was basically CM Punk got spat on by MJF, and then CM Punk just punches Wardlow right in the jaw, and Wardlow, or not Ward, oh my god, CM Punk punches MJF in the mush, and then he drops like a sack of potatoes, and then he ends up pinning. I actually gave that match 5 out of 5 stars. I thought that both men put on a hell of a performance. And by the way, my 5 out of 5 star count, for those of you wondering, is 16 matches. As a matter of fact, we're going to look at match number 16 today. What did I give 5 out of 5 stars? Stay tuned to find out. Anyway, since November of 2019, these men have had a, I don't want to say a long-standing rivalry, but rather a relationship of some sort. Whether that be, bodyguard and person who needs bodyguarding. I mean, if you want to look at bodyguards of the past, we could go back to Shawn Michaels and Diesel, who eventually had a falling out with each other. Diesel would, of course, become Kevin Nash, and for some reason, Vince McMahon thought that it was funny to call him Big Daddy Cool Diesel. You'll never hear me say to someone that they are Big Daddy. Unless I lose my penis and grow a vagina. Oh, they also called him Big Sexy, which I thought was funny. So, never in my life will you ever hear me call a man Big Sexy or Big and Sexy in the same sentence. It's ironic because I grew up in a holler, is what they called it. So, I grew up in a holler, and they would call the place that I grew up at Big Ugly, and Kevin Nash is known as Big Sexy. I always thought that was funny in one regard or another. A guy that my mom knew who worked over at McDonald's, I remember one time he let me try one of the cheeseburgers that he made, and he said it was an original creation, or whatever, and he called it the Big and Nasty. Okay, why would you, like, if I'm going to eat a burger, it's not too appealing if it's called the Big and Nasty. Pay attention to how I'm saying that too. The Big and, like, hyphen, Big Nasty. I'm not sure what it had on it, but it was pretty good, because I ate like 3 of them. Anyway, getting back to the task at hand here, and trying not to deviate from whatever it is that I'm talking about. MJF versus Wardlow. And it was just like a slow-paced beatdown of a match. I mean, the things that Wardlow has been put through, honestly. He's had to take 10 lashes. He's had to fight Shawn Spears in a cage match. He's had to be, for practically 2 or 3 years, he's been degraded. He's been, called names. He's been treated like he's a second-rate citizen. For that matter, he's been treated like he's an animal that belongs in a cage by this man MJF. But MJF would just keep paying him and just keep paying him and just keep paying him. Matter of fact, throughout the match, there's one part in the match. It's a spot where MJF says, "Look, we can talk about this," and then he's on his knees, right? And then he's like, "We can talk about this, Wardlow. He says, I'll double your pay." He said, he looks at him and he says, I'll double your pay. And then he says, okay, fine. Triple your pay. And then after that, Wardlow, every time that MJF says a word, Wardlow will just walk one step forward. And then MJF just says, okay, I will quadruple your pay. And Wardlow says, quadruple my pay. He's looking out at the crowd, and they're booing, they're chanting bullshit. And I mean, this is a passionate crowd. They're chanting asshole, they're chanting fuck you MJF. They're just chanting stuff like you deserve it whenever MJF is getting powerbombed, and then he gets powerbombed again, and then he gets powerbombed again. Can you guess what happens next? He gets powerbombed again. This was honestly like watching Brock Lesnar whenever they would try to build him as a threat to anyone. And I mean anyone. Like, usually Brock would... Every Brock Lesnar match is a German suplex. And can you guess what happens next whenever he gets up? German suplex. And then he'll do 3 German suplexes, pick him up an F5, and then he'll go for the pin. Sometimes, depending upon who it is, they will kick out. Sometimes they'll stay down. But most of the time, that's all that it takes. About 18 or 25 or 35, German suplexes. And sometimes Brock will go for the pin, 1, 2, and then he'll raise their shoulder and say, no, I'm not done with you. And it's the most boring dog shit that you'll ever see in your entire life. Don't get me wrong, the story here was coming to a climax. At least MJF and Wardlow was. Nothing about Brock Lesnar was coming to a climax. MJF and Wardlow were 2 of the best that AEW has to offer. And also we get another "you deserve it" chant. And it's not whenever MJF is being powerbombed. It's whenever Wardlow apparently gets his official contract to AEW. Which, if you know anything about pro wrestling, you know that each wrestler is contracted. This whole thing right here is a farce. They could have built a story around something else other than, I'm going to put this in air quotes, Wardlow gets a contract for AEW if he wins against MJF. Yeah, that's poor storytelling at its finest. Wardlow clearly already had a contract. Wardlow clearly already had the training to become a professional wrestler. And for that matter, Wardlow clearly already had the physique to become a professional wrestler. These things alone lead me to believe that Wardlow's contract, I'm putting that in air quotes, if you can't hear my voice, I'm being facetious. Yeah, it's already been signed. The ink is already dry, let's put it that way. And it was dry before, he won against MJF. For whatever reason, they decided to celebrate him getting a job in AEW. They acted like that was his goal this entire time. No, his goal this entire time was to beat the holy fuck out of MJF for tormenting him for so long and treating him like he was a fucking dog. It's a classic good guy versus bad guy, but the wrestling here was a 1 out of 5 stars. And I've spent 15 minutes talking about it, practically. The Young Bucks versus the Hardy Boys. But I'm glad that I was able to go into, detail. And I mean, all I have here is a paragraph. Just practically paragraph or a paragraph and one paragraph and then a half of a paragraph of what gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. Because I feel like, if I don't explain, if I just say, okay, well, that just got a 1 out of 5 stars. Okay, next match. That's just That's dog shit. Like, if I don't explain, then you won't understand why it got 1 out of 5 stars. The next match on the card was the Young Bucks versus the Hardy Boys. No matter what you call them, whether you call them Generation Me, you call them the Young Bucks, you call them the Super Kick Party, it doesn't matter. These guys are, and always this is honestly tag team wrestling's future meeting tag team wrestling's present, or rather tag team wrestling's past meeting tag team wrestling's present is what I should say. But whenever I say the future, the Young Bucks, they so much were the future back then. I feel like that this match would have been so much better had it happened 12 years ago. Had it happened 8 or 9 years ago. But they mentioned on commentary, I'm pretty sure that the Young Bucks and the Hardys have faced off against each other in Ring of Honor. I would love to see that match. Their Ring of Honor bout, I mean. And Jeff Hardy, for whatever reason, talks about how this is his fresh start, his second, wind. Back when I was in high school, I used to adore Jeff Hardy, his whole, stick. Actually, I was in middle school. Middle school, I used to adore Jeff Hardy, his whole stick. And back then he had a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth opportunity in WWE. However many times that they've hired him and then let him go. Samoa Joe, as a matter of fact, gave him a hard time whenever he did come back to WWE in like 2018. Joe comes out and then he says, "Oh, how touching it is for you, Jeff Hardy, to be here with us, and we're celebrating 25 years," and it was like 25 or 27 years or something, almost matching The Undertaker's 30 years. But anyway, he was like, how amazing it is, Jeff Hardy, for you to be over here and see that highlights of your career that, honestly, you probably weren't even sober enough to recall any of it. Because, of course, Jeff Hardy has a drinking problem, and it stems back to the fact that whenever his house burnt down, his dog Jack died, and, there's a whole big story under it. That honestly has nothing to do with this match. Nonetheless, there's another relevant story that I feel like you should hear. And yes, I did say relevant, not irrelevant. Back when I was in middle school, once again, there was this girl who I had a crush on. And I feel like, even though a part of my brain wants to say, no, you're retarded, she didn't have a crush on you, she was just genuinely nice, to everyone, practically. But she just acted different around me, is what I mean to say. And, for that matter, there was one time where, and like I said, I used to be a huge Jeff Hardy fan. So what I would do is I would come into class and, anyone that I idolized, usually in professional wrestling, I started to listen to their theme song. So Jeff Hardy was one of those people, and I'd probably listen to his theme song maybe like on and off all weekend or something. And I walked into class one time, and I'm singing his theme song, and it goes a little something like this. The sun has come and gone for worse. 1,000 threats I've heard before. Back then, I didn't know that he said 1,000 threats I've heard before. I thought that he said 1,000 breaths I've heard before. And then he goes on to say something like, your lives are due today, or something like that. And that's the part that really tripped me up at that point in time. And I was walking past her desk when I happened to sing that particular part. And she says, "Wait, what? my life is due today? And she acts all surprised, and like I said, she finds every excuse in the book, and any excuse in the book, to start a conversation with me, if I didn't already say that. And that's what led me to believe she's got to have a thing for me, you know? Because she acts so different around me. And I remember thinking on my feet, and then I was like, oh, it's just a song, Alexa, don't worry about it. And then she's like, did you write it? And then I'm like, no. So I'm assuming that, in a way, she thought that I was very, almost like trying to be ominous about, you know, hey, Alexa, your life is due today. I've got a knife in my back pocket. You know, like, what? What am I, the next school shooter? You know, like, I probably shouldn't say school shooter, or for that matter, that could have been taken out of context too. Like, someone could splice, like, audio together. I am the next school shooter, you know, something like that. I probably shouldn't say that. Oh, God. Well, anyway, this match got a "This is awesome" chant. And for that matter, you know, I found myself enjoying this because Matt Jackson and Matt Hardy, just a nice little back and forth, you know, everybody got their crap in. You seen like attempt, and the Young Bucks even stealing the Hardys' moves at one point in the match. They were stealing like the Swanton, but Nick Jackson, I think it was, missed Jeff Hardy, and, you know, just rapid fire shots back and forth, left and right, up and down, through and over, and twists and turns and lefts and rights, if I didn't already say that, which I'm pretty sure that I did, in the corner and out of the corner. And once again, the referee admonishing them, not allowing any 1, 2, 3, 4 counts, because God forbid a referee know how to count past 10, let alone count past 3. But nonetheless, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a decent match, but the best match has yet to come. I suppose that's my opinion, though. Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay, and this one was a sleeper, kind of. I mean, I've seen Jade Cargill wrestle better matches before, and the champ, Jade Cargill, by the way, this is for the TBS Championship. Jade is 31-0, and 15 of her last 29 wins less than 2 minutes. So, do with that little information what you will. I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. So, you know, 2 whole stars and 1/2 a star. Now, if I said now, I'm going to say now. Now, I feel like I'm slowly turning into a cat, because every time that I say the word now, I hear myself saying meow. Now, House of Black versus Death Triangle. Buddy Matthews. I put Aleister Black here, but I can't spell Malachi, and hopefully me saying the word Aleister Black doesn't exactly, like, you know, rain thunder in the sky. And for that matter, children don't go missing every time that I say the word Aleister Black. Just keep an eye on your kids, because I swear I'm going to get us all in trouble. Malachi Black, Brody King, faced off against Death Triangle, Penta Jr., that bastard Pac, and Ray Phoenix Jr. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. God damn, what a match is what I put here on my notes. with no explanation points, but that's okay. This match was a high-flying, hell-raising match. This match is what dream matches are made of. Okay, so the end of it, I really don't know how I feel about, but basically it showed that bastard Pac, and he's on the top turnbuckle, and he's about to hit his move for like the third time in this match, the Black Arrow, and he's about to hit it on Malachi Black, and he's about to hit that Black Arrow whenever the lights go out. This is a common theme with House of Black. The lights go out, the arena's dark, you could say that it's black. About 20 seconds goes by, maybe a little bit less time than that, maybe 17 seconds. And Julia Hart shows up. And she's right in front of that bastard Pac. And as soon as the lights come back on, she spits this viscous liquid, this black-looking mist, spits it right in Pac's face. And from there, Death Triangle wins because Malachi Black gets up and he hits that beautiful blackout roundhouse kick. And whenever he does, he levels Pac, and he ends up picking up the victory. Just 1, 2, 3, and apparently it's a twist that no one's seen coming. Wrestling fans didn't see it coming, except for one commentator, Excalibur. Excalibur seen it coming because he said, this is a direct quote from him whenever it happened, Julia Hart finally, as in this was something that we were waiting to happen, finally turns her back on Death Triangle and joins House of Black. I'm sorry, did I miss something? I don't remember seeing her with Death Triangle, or for that matter, having an affiliation with House of Black that's been building up to this point. But okay. Thank you, Excalibur. Thank you. Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole. First time, ref counts a DQ attempt. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4 matches deep. But after Jade Cargill faces off against Anna Jay, I forgot to say this, Ember Moon makes her debut. But she's not Ember Moon. And she's gained some weight. Her pants don't fit her. Let's put it that way. The pants that she's wearing, they kind of fall off. And her shirt kind of, creases up a little bit. I'm like, damn, she got thick. I mean, why would she purposely wear, tight clothing? Makes no sense. None whatsoever. Shut up. Shut up. She's not trying to look younger, or for that matter, more flirtatious. Shut up. So she comes out, and so does Malcolm Biggs. Malcolm Biggs comes out, but he's somebody completely different. They're like, oh my god, it's so-and-so. And Ember Moon is not Ember Moon, she's Athena. So anyway, hopefully they take that somewhere. Malcolm Biggs and Ember Moon. Hopefully that goes somewhere. Except they're not Malcolm Biggs and Ember Moon. I'm going to have to learn Malcolm Biggs' new name, I guess. Anyway, not the point. Sam Joe versus Adam Cole. First time a ref counts a DQ attempt. And I give it 4 out of 5 stars. So this was for the finals of the Owen Hart Classic tournament that they'd been doing. So, essentially, in a nutshell, Martha Hart. Martha Hart is a hypocrite in one way or another. Or maybe she just doesn't like WWE, and I don't blame her. Because Martha Hart, Dr. Martha Hart, excuse me, apparently, for whatever reason, organized this whole tournament in remembrance of her late husband, who she thinks about every day, Owen Hart. And as tragic as it is that Owen has passed away, I really don't know what good it does to throw a tournament. And I'm not trying to be like facetious or mean or, dark-hearted person at all, but I'm sort of confused as to why they've even ran this. I understand that it's for the Owen Hart Foundation, which I'm still not sure what that is. I'm still unsure whether or not that's is it a non-profit organization? Does it help kids with, the big C word? Not COVID, the other one. They never once mention what it's for, except to crown a king and a queen or something like that, which, if that's what they were going for, then la-di-da for them. And, I want to give them a slow clap, but I can't because I'm holding my microphone with one hand. But whenever I seen Adam Cole beat the undefeated Samoa Joe, do you not understand what that means? Well, they already gave out, think about it. It just makes sense that if Adam Cole wins his match, then Dr. Britt Baker's got to win her match, because they're basically, it's better booking, okay? It would suck for Adam Cole to win his match and then Ruby Soho to win her match, knowing that Adam Cole's girlfriend came in second place, no, they wouldn't do that. They would want a prom king and a prom queen. So I guess that's what they got. And whenever Dr. Britt Baker comes out, so here's the thing. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, comes down to the ring, and someone from Fozzy plays Britt Baker's entrance music. But, see, this guy's playing this entrance music, right? And I guess he just didn't have anything better to do that night. But he's playing Dr. Britt Baker's entrance music, okay? What's the first thing you do whenever you're playing an electric guitar and you want people to hear you? You plug in an amp, right? And unless he had a Bluetooth amp, which I've never heard of, a guitar that actually has Bluetooth capabilities, I've never heard of that. Your audience, the people who paid the ticket, they can't hear your music. And especially the fact that Dr. Britt Baker's music is fucking playing, and whenever it is playing, it's probably playing over your dumbass who's sitting there strumming a guitar, acting like that they're playing something, when in reality they're not playing anything. You, at best, come off as a crackhead who decided to come out here and then say, hey, how about I play your entrance music, man? Yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't you play her entrance music? But while you're at it, why don't you go to the production truck and tell them to turn down their music, or turn down her music just a little bit, so that maybe they can hear your crackhead playing her music. Otherwise, you need to plug that guitar, an electric guitar, need I remind you, into an amp so that people can actually hear what it is that you're fucking playing. Anyway, aside from Dr. Britt Baker's crackhead playing her music, Ruby Soho did one better. And she actually had a band play her entrance music. A band that I've never heard of named Rancid. And hopefully, whenever I think of the word rancid, like this smells rancid. I wouldn't want my musical band to be named Rancid. I'd want it to be something badass, like, balloon smashing, record breaking thunder. I don't know. Fuck. Don't ask me to name your band. The next match on the card was the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky, who is the champion. He is the TNT champion. Ethan Page, and this one was a triple threat, or rather the first ever mixed tag team trios match. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and award-winning bare knuckle fighter, and they had like some footage of her bare knuckle fighting playing in the background. Paige Van Zant, who is like undefeated in her sport. Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara. Oh, okay. The Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Paige Van Zant versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Ty Conti. We're not even 3 minutes into this match, and Dan Lambert shouts to one of the kids in the front row that screams, "Tap out! Tap out!" And of course, the kid was talking to Scorpio Sky because Sammy Guevara had him in a headlock. And Dan Lambert shouts at the kid. He says, "Shut the hell up, kid. He's not tapping out." Sammy in the corner gets a headbutt to the groin by his girlfriend because Paige Van Zant ends up drop toe holding Ty Conti into his private parts, Sammy Guevara's private parts. A kiss from Ty in the middle of the match as she's about to win. Sammy goes to kick Kaz, Frankie ducks, and Ty Conti gets kicked in the head instead. This match was entertaining, but it wasn't like the most entertaining, Like, it was funny and it was fun to watch, but it's very uncharacteristic of Sammy Guevara to want to make out with his girlfriend in the middle of a wrestling match. And don't get me wrong, they just got together not but a month ago or two, because Sammy Guevara dumped his fiance of like 5 years to be with Ty Conti, who he was cheating with. Need I remind you, these are real life things that were happening to him, and he apologized over Twitter about it. He also apologized for saying that he wanted to rape Sasha Banks. He apologized over some of the things that he said in graphic detail that he would want to do to Sasha Banks. A lot of people see Sammy Guevara as nothing more than a write-off, and for that matter, he's the scum of the earth to them. But so I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here, because whenever I found out that Michael Jackson did what he did, or has been doing what he had been doing, for whatever reason, he's a child molester, or he likes to hurt children. Let's put it that way. In one way or another, he's a very controversial topic. I don't know how else to say it. If you don't know, I'm sure that everybody out there already knows what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm going to stop dancing around the campfire like, it's a very sensitive topic. What I mean to say is that I'm going to sound like a hypocrite whenever I say this, because I never liked, Michael Jackson, and whenever I heard about that, that kind of drove the nail even further into the coffin of not liking Michael Jackson even more. I suppose it's just my preference or whatever. Every time that I would hear Michael Jackson song or anything like that, and then people would be like, "Oh, it's Michael Jackson, let's get up and dance." I'd be like, I ain't dancing. No way. I know what that man did, But every time that I look at Sammy Guevara, all I can see is an artist. I can see a man who has done things with his life, and I look up to him, regardless of what it is that he's done. Regardless to what it is. So it's kind of like the Bill Cosby situation. I can't believe that all these women are just now coming out and saying that, "Oh, Bill Cosby, he raped me." I'm sure a fraction of them, maybe. It's hard for me to even believe that he's been paying them off all this time, and the minute that he says, "You know what, I'm going to stop paying you if you don't shut the fuck up about what happened 95 years ago." Okay. I still like Bill Cosby too, but I don't know. They're writing books on him. They're fucking making TV shows on the internet about him. We've got to talk about Cosby. Oh, brother, give me a break. But nonetheless, this is not the Bill Cosby podcast. Fortunately, this is the Gut Wrench podcast. I gave this match because I feel as though that Sammy's had better matches. Some of the spots in it were kind of funny. Sammy getting a headbutt to the groin from his girlfriend. 2 out of 5 stars. Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. These two put on a clinic of a show, and it was honestly really, really fun to watch these two practically tear the house down. So, fun factoid here. Back before I knew who Kyle O'Reilly was, I used to do this thing, and I'm sure that I've talked about it before, called iFunny Wrestling, where you could play pretend on an app called iFunny that you were a wrestler. But anyway, sometimes I would be what you would call a booker. And as a booker, I would have the pleasure of being on my phone all fucking night, because it was extremely fucking frustrating to have to try to put out a make-believe wrestling match using nothing but slideshows, practically. And then I would have to save every possibility. So let's say that I had a wrestling match such as Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. What I would have to do is I would have to create like a scenario which put Darby Allin with a picture, and then put Kyle O'Reilly with a picture, put captions below it about where they, like from Ghana, South Africa, weighing 655 pounds, I would have to say that, basically, and then I would have to make the announcers say something like, "And he goes for the sunset flip. He gets the 1, the 2, the 3. He wins the match." Well, I used to get a lot of hate back whenever I was booking that kind of stuff, because Kyle O'Reilly, his name is Kyle O'Reilly, and I thought his name was Kyle O'Reilly. And every time that I would spell it in one of those slideshows, it would always say Kyle O'Reilly. Like, Kyle O'Reilly. Anyway, this match was... This match was a lot of things. And if I had to say something about it, I would say that it was a high-flying clinic of a match. But whenever I got done watching it, I was honestly tired, I just wanted to go to sleep. That's all that I wanted to do. It takes me like 2 or 3 days to watch these. It takes like 2 or 3 days for them to download onto my computer. Because watching them made me exhausted. The next match is the AEW Women's Championship match, as Thunder Rosa faces off our champion. I did not put a prompt for. I'm going to do that right now. Versus Serena Deeb. So, I would have done this one a little bit different, especially considering our main event. However, I guess they really don't think about irony too much now, do they? Had it been me, I would have added a little bit of a hint of irony to this match. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb would have ended in either 1, a double countout, or 2, with Serena Deeb getting the title. Now, Serena Deeb is known as the Professor. Serena Deeb is also... she's kind of a technician, and most people don't last more than 5 minutes with her. So why in the fuck would you have people losing to her within 5 minutes on a consistent basis, and then once she gets to the champion, she gets beat? When Thunder Rosa, the only thing she was doing was giving interviews, which is understandable because she's the champion. She don't fight for free. But for her to do nothing but just get interviews, as the champion, at the same time, it's kind of like lowballing your audience. And I understand that this is her first title defense as well. Thunder Rosa's first title defense as the AEW Women's Champion. But I would have had it done better. I feel as though that I could have done this one better. Their booking, 4 out of 5 stars. I would have had Serena Deeb lose in a different way, though. Not clean like they would claim here. I would still keep Serena Deeb in the title picture without, there just being a clean victory from Thunder Rosa. It would have ended via double countout, which, by the way, the referee was counting, but he was counting slow. And on top of that, he would forget where he was counting from. Like, he would go 1, and then he would go 2, and then 3. And then after that, he would say, "Come on, get it back in the ring." And then he would go 1. No, motherfucker, you don't start counting. I swear. They don't know how to count, man. Don't know how to count past 10. Okay, so Justin Roberts, who they call the Yapper Dapper, ladies and gentlemen, shit's about to hit the fan. I don't think that I've ever heard an announcer actually say that. But I wrote it down so that I knew to let everyone on my podcast know what it is that we were going to be talking about. We still got like 4 matches to go. So, shit's about to hit the fan, is what Justin Roberts says. And the Jericho Appreciation Society versus Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Santana, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston. The only way to win, also Justin Roberts, the Yapper Dapper, says this: the only way to win is by pin or submit in the ring. I put a question mark there because this is supposed to be anarchy in the arena. This is supposed to be some long-forgotten hardcore match where everyone and their mom's supposed to bleed. And no, I don't mean like, it's your time of the month. It's your It's not the time of red rivers, you know. Whenever I say bleed, I don't mean bleed from down there. Okay. From down there, you know. I'm done talking about it. Anyway, what I mean to say is that the Yapper Dapper gives us some much needed clarity on what it is that we need to know, which is that the decision can only take place inside the ring. Also, the Jericho Appreciation Society logo looks like it's a ripoff of the Wu-Tang Clan logo. The back of their jackets looks exactly like the Wu-Tang Society, the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm not sure if they're a society or if they're just a clan. What's the difference between a society and a clan? I'll never know. I don't think that I want to know, but not the point. Starting to lose my voice here. So, this match was all over the place. So, whenever the match starts, Jon Moxley's theme song hits, and it's Wild Thing. You make my heart sing. And the entire crowd, every one of them, who Jim Ross says that there's 14,000 people in attendance. The T-Mobile Arena over in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not hard to believe. But Wild Thing keeps playing and keeps playing and keeps playing, like on repeat. Jon Moxley's theme song never goes off. Jericho goes over to the announce table, or not the announce table, the production table, and he grabs the music box and unplugs it and then throws it on the ground. Whenever Jericho's music hits for the Jericho Appreciation Society to enter before the match begins, these people sing along to his theme song too. But whenever Jericho wins the match in a dirty fashion, need I remind you, well, I guess it's not that dirty because everything was legal, so to speak. But, you know, you just don't want to see someone pass out like that. But anyway, whenever Jericho gets the jump on the Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Santana Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, they really don't have a name for their group here. Whenever Jericho gets the jump on them and actually wins, the Wizard, Chris Jericho, actually wins his match, the crowd who was singing Jericho's theme song as he was coming in, they were booing him as he was leaving. They weren't singing along at all. They were like, "Oh, we don't like this ending. Boo! Boo!" Nah, they'll get over it. But I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was no organization. You know, it was kind of clusterfucky at times. But the wrestling, the brawls, actually, not really the wrestling, because there practically was no wrestling. There was practically no wrestling at all. Jon Moxley even takes the top turnbuckle off. He takes the top rope off, rather. The top rope. Oh, man. Yeah, I guess it is the top rope, because it's practically supported by the top rope, and you know, the ring ropes, there's 3 of them. Moxley takes off the top, the first ring rope. That's how Jericho ends up winning the match too, because they choke Danielson with it. And next we come to the tag team titles, the AEW Tag Team Championships. And Team Taz, Ricky Starks, the FTW champion. I'm going to say it once, I'm going to say it again, that every time that he gets announced as the FTW champion, it means nothing. it means nothing because he doesn't defend it all that much at all. Like, he just wants to show it off. The FTW title hasn't meant anything since like 1992, you know? So the fact that Ricky Starks has the title, and on top of that, it's a title from another organization. It's a title from ECW. So it has no relevance and it holds no weight here. Holy crap. Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks versus Keith Lee, Shane Strickland, and the champions, or versus the champions, Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. This match type, this was a gimmick match, so it's kind of like two people start in the ring. So let's say that Powerhouse Hobbs, representing Team Taz, was to start off against Shane Strickland, and at any point, Strickland can choose to tag either one of the Jurassic Express boys of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, or he can choose Shane Strickland, follow me here, can choose to tag in his own tag team partner, Keith Lee. Or Powerhouse Hobbs might feel like he's overwhelmed, and he might feel, okay, well, I don't have much faith in my own tag team partner, Ricky Stark, so instead I'm just going to go tag in Luchasaurus. He's a big boy, you know. Tag in Luchasaurus and then have him come in for a while, and then after 5 or 10 minutes goes by, you notice Luchasaurus is starting to get gassed a little bit, and then you tag in off of the opponent. You know, let's say that it was Luchasaurus and Shane Strickland at that point, and then Powerhouse Hobbs tags in Shane Strickland, even though that's not his tag team partner. His tag team partner is Ricky Stark. Basically, it's a free-for-all tag team match. Whoever you want to tag in, you can tag them in. But just be wary that if you're to tag in someone from the other team and they was to get the victory, that it might look bad. We've already had 3 tag team matches. Well, I mean, if you want to count the, what was it called? Anarchy in the Arena Anarchy match. Our next match is for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and is our main event of the evening, as CM Punk faces off against champion Adam Page. The crowd sings CM Punk's theme song, and honestly, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't put anything down on this one. I didn't make any revolutionary observations. I didn't say anything that was going to, like, turn the tide of this match. I did go on Discord, and I was a part of a Discord community where they were practically hating on the fact that CM Punk is now the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. They don't like it. I don't know why. I don't know why people can't just be happy for other people, you know, in their pursuit of happiness. You know, CM Punk apparently is, as they said, a lot of them were saying, past his prime. It's way too late. Oh my God, I'm so sick of seeing the same shit. You know, it's like, pick a side and get with that side. I understand that Adam Page is the younger guy. I understand that Adam Page has never been to WWE. I understand that Adam Page is maybe your favorite because he is an AEW original, or for that matter, he is someone that you would see to be more fit as a champion for a company of this stature. Whenever the title in AEW changes hands, it's never like I mean, like Adam Page held it for 249 days, I think they said, or 292 days, which is a decent title run. Let me think. If 3 months is 90 days, then another 3 months would be 180. So that's 6 months right there. This man held this championship for more than... And two 180s would equal 360. So he didn't hold it for that long, but he almost held it for... He almost held it for, like, I want to say 5.5 months. You know, if he was the champion for 292 days, 4.5 months, you know, that's impressive. And on top of that, not only is that impressive, I want to think that Adam Page isn't done in the title picture. And on top of that, CM Punk said in earlier interviews that he didn't want to win. He didn't want to come to AEW to be handed a championship. He wanted to feel like that he earned it. The same problem that we have with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes felt as though that they were just going to treat him like an executive, or for that matter, it wouldn't feel as... If Cody Rhodes is an executive and he ends up getting a title match, wouldn't it seem like a conflict of interest, almost like he put himself in that situation? For whatever reason, you know, I mean, I'm sure that they would find a reason to justify it, but at the same time, they would also find a reason to say, hey, aren't you an executive? You shouldn't be doing that, you know, putting yourself in a title situation where, I'm going to put this in air quotes, you don't belong, you know, like, let the man have some fun, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see Cody Rhodes as an executive. Hence why he went to WWE, and he's apparently, and this is hard to believe, making more money over there. How can you be making more money over there? Don't get me wrong, I suck at football things, but one of the football things that I'm going to try to get at here is that I was talking to a friend of mine of maybe like 2 months ago, and he told me, I mean, this was during the NFL draft, so he told me that the worst team in the league gets the first draft pick. So if that's the case, he told me that the Jaguars this year get the first draft pick. So, for those of you who don't know, Jeff Kahn, who is Tony Khan's father, and Tony Khan owns this whole wrestling empire that we are talking about right now. Vince McMahon, who has a son named Shane McMahon, and Vince is the father to Shane. One day we're going to see two generations of wrestling families fighting for your attention, for your admiration, for your merchandise sales. That's the point that I'm trying to get at here. And Jeff Kahn owns the Jaguars, the worst team in the league of the NFL today. I'm putting that in air quotes, by the way. That's probably subjective in one way or another. Anyway, Jeff Kahn is going to get the first draft pick of the NFL. Jeff Kahn owns the Carolina Panthers. Nope, the Jaguars, excuse me. And Jeff Kahn, it's hard for me to believe that Cody Rhodes is making more money over in WWE, okay? Because Jeff Kahn owns a fucking football team I don't know how much it costs to buy a football team, but I'm going to imagine that Vince McMahon isn't going to go out anytime soon and buy the Chicago Bears, or for that matter, any other fucking football team. He probably couldn't even come close to buying anything that the NFL has. And it's probably due to that whole PG thing, you know. I mean, the Jericho Appreciation Society versus John Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston. That match had a lot of blood in it. In WWE, you won't see blood. That's why the yapper dapper, Justin Roberts, said, shit's about to hit the fan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all the time that I have for you. But remember, 16 5-star matches. And I still don't know what episode we're on. Like, is it 30? Is it 32, 33, 34? Well, that's about all the time that I have for you. And if you would like to donate, please do so. And if you would not like to donate, that is also fine. Thank you so much for joining me. Until we meet again, this is Mocha signing off.